Nigerians have been reacting to the current fall of the Naira against the dollar, which has pegged the Nigerian currency at 930 Naira to $1. The situation is eliciting comments from many quarters. One of such from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, which says the country's economic policies are too loose to support its currency. Well, many Nigerians are wondering if the Central Bank of Nigeria's new operational measures for the forex market announced on the 14th of June, which ushered in the willing buyer, willing seller model, is responsible for this current development. Since the June 14 announcement by the Apex Bank, multiple exchange windows for forex in the country has been eliminated. This has, however, given rise to a steady increase in the price of the Naira in the parallel market, translating into the current 930 Naira to $1. The current fall of the Naira is a focus on Nigeria today. Thanks for joining us. I am your carrier, Clinton. Joining us to discuss the current fall of the Naira is Ahmed Abubakar Tanimu, a former banker and a legal practitioner. You're welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you for having me.
It's always good to have you.
It's always a delight being here.
Also joining us is Farouk Abdullahi, a financial analyst. Glad to have you join us on the program.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I'll start with you, Farouk. Just like you expected. The IMF has, has said that Nigeria's economic policies are too loose to support its Naira. Do you, what's your, or how do you interpret this?
Okay. Thank you for this wonderful question. You see, the Naira, the strength of our Naira is a function of our economic health as a nation, and the further declining of the Naira, or rather the devaluation in the currency, is rooted down to primarily the shortage in supply, or rather the continuing decline in the supply of forex in the country. This is indicated by our foreign reserve, the decline in our foreign reserve. If you look at from 31st December 2022 to 9th of July 2023, as reported by the central bank, there is a $3.23 billion shortfall in our foreign reserve. So this indicates that we are having a shortage of supply of the forex, and the availability of this forex is a function of, is a derivative of our economic activities, which is obtainable through the proceeds of the sale of crude oil, our exportation, diaspora remittances, etc. So we have seen a great steep shortfall in this economic output. Secondly, there is what we call net forex inflow. Net forex inflow is the difference between the total inflow of forex and the total outflow of forex. If the NFI, the net forex inflow, is high, it means we have surplus dollar. If it is low, if the outflow is greater than the inflow, it means we have NFI deficit in the NFI index. And we have been experiencing serious deficit in the NFI index historically. If you look at, I think from 2019 to 2022, in 2019, I think our NFI index was pegged at $76 billion. It further declined by 6.6% in 2021. In 2020 to about $70.65 billion. In 2022, there's another. In 2021, there's another decline in the NFI index by 20.5%, which saw to the index further depleting to around 56 point something billion dollars or thereabout. And in 2022, that's around December 2022, this index further sees a decline by over 28 point something percent, to around 30 something $0.7 billion. So all in all, between 2019 to 2023, there is a decline in our net forex inflow by over 50%. And this decline translates into decline. There's a correlation between this index with the value of our currency, because it simply further consolidates to the fact that we are having a shortfall in our forex. So ultimately, these things are the root cause of this devaluation in the Naira we are having, both in the black market and in the parallel market. And also, if you look at the recent policy around the liberalization of the exchange rate, or rather the unification of the exchange rate, right from July 9th, when this was announced, there is a sharp devaluation of the currency. But ultimately, we can't say it is not attributed to these root causes that I've mentioned, but equally also, it simply tells us that it has unveiled the reality, the economic reality that we are bound to face, because the economic fundamentals are not favoring a healthy currency. So all in all, I think these are the main causes of the problem, and this is how I would explain the outlook of it.
Okay, you just mentioned quite a lot of terms there, and I know people out there will be like, okay, all right, he said a lot of things. So has it got anything to do with our economic policies and making it, supporting the fall of the Naira?
Yes, economic policy is very important. It's very key. One thing is to have a sound theoretical basis for policies, for economic policies. And another thing is to understand the practical aspect or the practical implication of going into policies, launching into such policies. And another thing entirely different also is the way is the manner or the approach we handle the implementation of the policies. We have to be sensitive to the economic realities. And I think this is strongly lacking, the enforcement of it, the approach to it, how do we go about it? Because certain policies cannot just stand on its own. It has to be complemented by other policies. And this is very typical to the foreign exchange policy, or rather monetary policy. We need to have a better monetary policy and also other fiscal and economic policies that would support and complement the effective implementation of policies of this kind.
Okay, I'll stop you right there. I'll go to Tanimu. Tanimu, would you say we were being a little bit too ambitious with the Naira, as it allows the currency confront market forces without interventions?
To start with, I want to completely align myself with all the submission of my colleague, and he has really buttressed the dangers and the reality that we are already faced with. There's no gainsaying that our economic indices, our economic fundamentals, they are very, very weak. They are weak in the sense that we all agree, we are on equal page on this. There are so much income leakages, there are so much wastages, and to cap it up, we have corruption in every sector of the economy. And it's now a trend. For those of us here in Abuja and Lagos and Port Harcourt, you see, I want all the summation for the average Nigerians that will not be able to appreciate what he's saying, that the economy is being dollarized. High net worth individuals, they no longer do transaction with Naira. The CBN, they make policies, they cannot implement the policies. On a weekly, daily, monthly basis, CBN actually policies to supervise the financial. but I can assure you, within the CBN, they don't have the capacity to supervise the banks. You see state governments that they lack the capacity to sustain themselves. They are going to send to commercial banks to take loans that are far beyond their capacity. And you make reports, the CBN will do nothing about it. You have people that they've asked them not to engage in transaction using dollar. But because the volume of the looting and the corruption that is going on in the country, since they cannot do it using the financial system because it's no longer fashionable, they move with briefcases full with dollars running into millions. So with that, you don't expect the economy to thrive like this.
Okay, I'll have to stop you here. We'll take a break right now. The conversation will continue after the break. Do stay with us.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different?
We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different?
We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. Welcome back. It is still Nigeria Today, and we are looking at the current fall of the Naira. My guests are still here with me, two gentlemen. So, Farouk, you've said so much about, about the current policy and how it's not been really working, positively. What are the possible strategies that should be in place to ensure that we enjoy the positives of the current unification policy?
Well, the strategy is not a one-way, or is not is not a silver bullet. It's something that I think many things have to align and be put in place, both from the public and from the private sector, and also from you and I, because our understanding on how this works also needs to align properly before we can have an effective outcome. And you see, from the government aspect and the central bank, I think there is a need to revisit this policy and realign it with what would yield a better result, or what can manage the situation in the short term, because obviously this policy is having a long-term beneficial impact on our economy, but within the short and mid-term, I think in order to manage the brunt of the policy based on the reaction of the market fundamentals, there is the need the government should, or rather the central bank, to look at the policy again and realign it with current realities. For example, the total liberalization of the exchange rate has resulted to further continuing devaluation of the currency. I think right from the announcement to date, there is over 60 or close to 70% devaluation in the currency in the official window, and also in the black market it's even more than that. So I think this alone has necessitated the need to revise the policy and opt in to what can work out in the economy. For instance, the market is allowed to freely determine these rates without any peg, without giving a limit or a threshold that it mustn't cross, which I think that also can be established by the economic expert based on the economic reality. But if everything is allowed to go in the loose way, I think that is why we are headed towards the direction of continuing devaluation of the currency, both in the I&E window and in the parallel market. So there is a need to look at that. And secondly, policies also need to be coined out. I mean, realistic policies that would register good impact needs to be coined out, both in the long term, the short term, and the mid term. This is how to really strategize on policies that can have impact across the economic cycle, both in the short, mid, and long term. For instance, if we look at the long term policy direction that we need to look at, in times of economic surplus, for instance, where Nigeria, we are having most of our income from oil, when this revenue is coming in surplus, we ought to diversify our investment in foreign assets. Look at China. China has an investment of over $3 trillion in the US. They have acquired bonds and other assets in the US. So they are hedging against their currency devaluation. Should, in case they want to reboost their economy, they will just sell off those assets, get the money paid in dollars, and believe me, their economy will be strengthened. So if Nigeria is thinking in that direction also, it will go a long way in giving us a long-term currency revaluation, which usually it doesn't often occur, but it is possible. And also, if you look at, also I'm speaking in the long run before I come down to the mid and the short run, yes. If you also look at our economic environment, the health of our currency is a function of our economic productivity and growth. It is a function of our interest rate. It is a function of other economic fundamentals. If we keep increasing our interest rate, it will make our investors not to come in and invest.
Scared investors?
They will be scared. Look at even political and political stability also, and also the security of our nation. The image that we are being portrayed in the global space is what is deterring at some point investors from coming in to invest in Nigeria. Farmers, if you look at, they have been hampered by the security challenges, especially if you look at some part of the northwest and the northeast states where farming activities is predominantly taking place. So security has really impacted that. Also, in the short run also, and on the other hand, you can look at also working towards policies that would give us the short-term relief. For example, we have to, the government, or rather the central bank or regulatory authorities, have to ensure that they have a strict regulatory compliance in terms of ensuring that those requiring this dollar are the ones that are accessing the dollar, so that the money they get in importation for raw materials and other productive equipment will go through the productive aspect of the economy.
I'll have to stop you here. You have so much information there, I don't know. So that Ahmed will, talk to us. Yeah, earlier you were telling us about how they dollarize our economy, and so what should we do to make it better? Because from the way it's going, okay, you can go ahead and tell us some of the issues,
yes,
and
I realign myself with what Faruk has said, and just to reiterate the fact that we have so much corruption going on in the system. Bribes and bribes, yes, I said it, bribes are being given in dollars. A lot of transactions are being done in dollars. And who are the people doing this? They are Nigerians. So when we cannot control our crave, our appetite for dollar, then the demand on the dollar will continue to increase as most foreign currencies. Whereas we tend to have like appetite towards our Naira, we humanize Naira, and as is rightly pointed out, the value of our Naira is a question of the health of our economy. That's the reality. At the moment, what are we producing? When other clients are making humongous profit from the increase in the oil prices globally, ours we are importing, ours we are removing subsidy, and it's not reflecting on the well-being of our economy. A lot of people are suffering. A lot of people cannot meet their basic needs. So if the activities of production are not going in tandem with our expectation, we are not producing. It's when we start producing, when we start exporting, that we can now make gains of getting forex. Until that is done, we'll continue. The situation we are facing will continue. There's no deliberate measures being seen to stop or to accommodate what you already have.
No, when the announcement of the liberalization of the exchange rate was announced, ordinarily Nigerians thought things would be better, because now we have more foreign investors, having access to dollar and all of that, and even it will promote export, boosts our export and all of that. So why are we not having that? Why are we not feeling that, impact? Why are we still at the point where we really we are not really sure of, what's next?
Okay, well, you see, this policy of liberalization of the exchange rate is no doubt good, but I think I began by explaining to you the root cause of the problem. We cannot get out of it without addressing this root cause. We are overburdened by the demand for this dollar. The backlog on the demand of this dollar that we are having currently is over $2 billion.
Now, before you continue, what are some of the advantages of this liberalization?
You see, prior to that, when we were operating this double exchange rate, we have the official rate and we have the parallel market rate. Between these two rates, there lies a huge margin, which obviously creates opportunities for arbitrageurs to come in and exploit the market at the disadvantage of the economy. They will just go and trade on this forex, get access through the official rate, sell it out in the market through the parallel market rate, and they make a huge margin without registering any impact on the economy. So that is why this policy is important. So it has blocked that redundant window, for people to come and tamper with our economy, So it's part of the reasons. And also another reason for it is to attract foreign investors. Okay. It has been implemented with good intention. Okay.
I will have to, Farouk, okay. I will have to stop you there, okay. And because our time will definitely continue this discussion. Definitely continue the discussion some other time.
Thank you.
And that's it on Nigeria Today. I must thank you, Ahmed Abubakar Tanimu, former banker and a legal practitioner. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution. And Farouk Abdullahi, the financial analyst. Thank you so much for that educative information. And that's it. We thank you, viewer, for always been part of this. Don't forget, Nigeria Today is weekdays at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can watch this and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24. I am your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.